Well, good afternoon, my friends. This is the Marc McMain Show. I'm Mitchell Swan, sitting in once again on this Monday for Marc. And it is the first Monday after Easter. How was your Easter, Chastity?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. We celebrated with family and the Lord's resurrection.
And did you have to do all the cooking?
No, we all took turns. Everybody worked in the kitchen together and on the grill, so it was nice.
I love that.
And then we decorated eggs, and I still have dye in between my fingers.
Good luck getting that off.
I know, it's been impossible.
Well, I'll tell you, what a special week that was for me last week. I'm referring to the entire Holy Week. I was doing stuff that I haven't ever done before. And for me, Easter, it's a time when I really renew my faith, and not just that God is real. Every religion has a God, right? But it's that Christ is the King of Kings, and that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And it just feels so strong in me. And I realize, too, in these troubled times, as we look towards tomorrow, when we may absolutely bomb Iran into the Stone Age, that we need him not only in our own lives, but in our homes, but also in our work, our civic relationships, and our community. And so the theme today is going to be iron sharpens iron. And that comes from Psalms 27:17, or Proverbs, rather. Proverbs 27:17. And it says, as iron sharpens iron, a man sharpens a man. And we've just got 4 guests today that are fantastic. They're not just good in what they do civically or in the community, but in their businesses especially, and they lead with faith. And so I wanted to bring these folks in. And our first guest today is Andrew Clegg. He's from the area. I'll let him tell his story, but he has a wonderful success story being a soft wash businessman. So, Andrew, welcome for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate you having me. It's an honor.
That's a real pleasure. So, I've known you for a moment now, but for those unfamiliar with you, why don't you just share a little bit about your story?
I'd love to. So, my name is Andrew Clegg. If y'all know the local Social Circle Ace Hardware, you probably recognize the name Clegg. I'm kin to them. There's only a few of us around here, but I'm 21 years old. I'm happily married to a wonderful Christian woman, and I started my business, Sweetwater Soft Wash, 4 years ago, this being my 4th year. And in high school, I knew that I started off cleaning cars. I was working a part-time job at an auto shop. I started cleaning cars. I was doing a sport. I knew right away pretty quickly that I just couldn't sit in a chair for 4 more years learning in a college. It's just not my thing. And I was quickly looking for things to venture into for my future. I know I was leaning towards the military. That was a pretty big possibility. Wasn't really considering college. I looked at trade schools. And I just stopped on starting my own business. So I started cleaning cars, and once I started building clients, I realized quickly that there's a need for first-class service at a fair price. And I said, this car cleaning thing is great, and people like me. I think I have what it takes. I need to find something I can make a living at, provide for my family. So I started Sweetwater Soft Wash, and it's a soft washing company. We exterior cleaning on houses and commercial buildings. I started it at 17. And now I have 2 paid-for trucks, 2 wonderful employees. It's been a blessing beyond belief. And well,
let's step back for a second. So you're 17. Now, did you graduate from Monroe High School?
I graduated from Social Circle.
From Social Circle, okay. But
yes,
Walton
sir.
County resident your whole life. You're graduating. You're 17. You're like, I got to find a way to provide for my family. I'm like, dude, you're 17. I love the forward thinking, right? You're forward thinking.
Yeah.
And you're looking at whether or not you should go to a trade school, which is 100% great option for a lot of people that want to get in the trades. But what I like about this is as we look at the current economy, and people just seem to be more afraid of what's going to be in the future. And I think sometimes they delay getting out into the world and starting a job or a career because they figure, I'm going to go to college, figure myself out at great expense for 4 years. But at some point you get in that job market and you're like, am I making the right choice? It feels like you had been working all through high school a bit, and now how did you come across, you've decided I want to start a business. Was there any other option you thought of besides doing Sweetwater?
Well, I knew there was pressure washing. You hear everybody pressure washing. Everybody has a setup running around town. I knew that was kind of saturated, if you will. And so I was like, well, maybe I need to find a way to separate myself. So I discovered soft washing. I said, this is interesting. I see the appeal. Low pressure, doesn't cause damage. You're offering a higher quality result. But one thing that I'm glad I did is I jumped right in when I didn't have all these responsibilities. I think when you get anchored down with, of course, your family, a house, a mortgage, it's a lot more difficult to jump into a business because you got more at stake. But
I've always said that to people. They're like, a young person. I'm very mature for my age. Do you have a mortgage? No. Oh, talk to me once you get that. That'll mature you really, really quickly.
It's hard to put everything on the line when you're just not sure what's going to happen.
Now, I want to ask, what did your parents think about this?
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Did they give you some input like, hey, that sounds a little risky, son?
I'd say most of my family was a little on edge. They didn't really understand. Thankfully, my uncle and my dad's my number one supporter. He had his own business, so he guided me through the legal part of it and everything I needed to do. But they really, it took me a while to fill in my shoes before they really got on board because, it's starting a new business. Anything can happen. Most businesses don't make it. And once it started working, they were really rooting for me.
So you stepped out in faith. Now, I believe, too, that you have your family, as I understand it, has a very strong Christian
We
faith.
do. When I was growing up, we were a part of we had a family bluegrass band. We'd go around the state to all these churches, and we played bluegrass. Now, I was the roadie. I was the one that didn't play any music instruments, but I was still part of it. It was just great memories, and from an early age, I learned about Christ, but my faith has grown exponentially since I started my business.
Yeah, you've had quite an abundant life. So it's often said by people, and at least I say it, but, I always tell young men and women that making money's easy if you're willing to work hard. And there's just no easy money out there to be made. And so you've stepped into this. You're 17 years old. And if I remember right from another conversation we had, I'm going to jump ahead to when you're 19, and you're making about $250,000 a year revenue. Not saying you're
Right.
grossing that or netting that, right? What is that like when you look at your peers and they're like, I don't know, man, I'm thinking of buying a car, I can't really afford one, and you're like, man, I can't even buy a beer yet, but I can go buy a $90,000 pickup truck.
Well, it's a good feeling. I will say, I learned also early that I don't know. I spend a lot of money on the business because it's a smart thing to do. I'm pretty conservative as far as what I spend my money on. I don't buy these brand new trucks. I have my trucks wrapped. I take care of my stuff. I have really good equipment, but I try to be wise for my age, which is hard to do because I only have so much life experience. Yeah. But that makes me have, I go to, of course, we go to our men's meeting, and I have mentors that mentor my faith and my business. Things like that help a lot. And for somebody that doesn't know everything, I have to look in other places.
Now, you've just recently gotten married, too.
I have.
Has it been a year yet?
A little over a year.
Little over a year. So you even got married before you could buy a beer, too.
Best decision ever, though.
Probably, yeah. You're getting the good habits. Any plans on having kids?
Well, we are looking into that maybe this year. We'll see how that goes, but we're super excited for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. It's like when you get married, you're like, oh, we're going to enjoy each other for 5 years. And then you're like, man, we want some kids. But God's got a plan for that. And we're steadfast and we're trusting in Him.
Now, there's probably young men and women, and certainly a lot down in social circle that have heard your story, that are in school, and they're wondering, what am I going to do with myself? I've always told people I think joining the military is fine. If you're going to go in and do 4 years and figure yourself out, get the GI Bill, make the government pay for your education, that's a solid plan to me. But what would your advice be to someone that hears your story and goes, yeah, I think I'm going to start a business?
Here's what I would say, Mitch. Whatever you're going to do in life, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to go to a 9 to 5. It's going to be hard to go to the military. It's going to be hard to start a business. You have to choose your heart, and you have to decide, do you want to, people tell me this all the time, live it up in your 20s, and, then you'll make the money afterwards. Well, I don't really align with that. I think in the 20s, when you're able, you want to work your butt off, and you want to get a head start.
100%.
And I learned that early on. So if I was giving advice, I would say, look, if you're thinking about a business, I would pray about it. I would try to. It doesn't have to be the business you want to do your whole life, but you just got to start. You got to keep God in the center of it. He's going to bless you beyond belief. You have to trust in Him. This is His business. I'm just running it, and I'll tell you what, it's running pretty well. So I no regrets. But if you're pondering whether you should start a business, I would do it sooner than later, because you just never know. You never know, and it's worth a shot.
Well, what you did too is, one, you saw a need that people out there want to have someone come and power wash their house. Especially us older folks like me. I don't want to get up on that ladder anymore.
Yeah.
You didn't say, well, power washing is such a great hobby. I'd like to turn it into a profession. I mean, there's plenty of men out there go, well, I like working on older cars, and maybe I'll become a mechanic. Well, you do that 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, weekends off. And you're like, it ain't fun anymore. And I don't understand this stuff, and they get burned out. I also find that people will pursue just the money and not trust in God to lead them, or they don't pursue that purpose they're set for.
Right.
And they end up working under fluorescent lights in a cubicle, updating their computer and living on email, and that will suck the soul right out of you.
Finding purpose, like I said, I have purpose because of God and my wife. When I got married, I have even more purpose now. But when you're starting your business, it's kind of, you're thinking about, how much can I make? Can I make more than I'm making now, my 9 to 5? But there's a turning point where it's, you have kids, and it changes things. You have purpose for them, and you can get burnt out if you're just thinking about the money. But the way I've framed this business, it's my ministry, and I'm looking for every way I can to expand the kingdom of Christ. Yeah. And it gives me a sense of purpose and drive. It lights a fire under me. And it's like, man, who's the next hand I can shake? Who's the next person I can meet? Who's the next person I can have a good influence on? I mean, there's kids, I'm probably mentoring 5 or so kids from Alabama and all over, help them start their business, younger than me. They're like the same age I am. And so, you just have to have a good approach at it. But
when you're being that iron that sharpens iron, right? By sharpening them up.
Yeah.
I always remind people, if only iron can sharpen iron, anything not as strong just dulls it.
Right.
And so you do have to pick your mentors well, because some people, they sound good, then you realize there's not much substance there when you start to dig into it. One of my things about stepping out in faith, because you do that when you start a business, you're really like, oh God, I really hope some customers come my way. And one of the things I've always felt, and this is in our own business too, is it's not about retail sales or assets under management. It's really about relationships. You're in retail relationships. When people like you and you bring value to a community, they're going to shop at your store.
Right.
They're not coming in because they're going to get that 45% discount on some piece of junk made in China. They're coming in because you're of value yourself, and they want to see you succeed, and then they want to lift you up. Do you find that your faith has helped you in growing your business as far as relationships with people?
Absolutely. It's funny to me, and I'll make one note on the topic of having purpose, but when you start a business, there's oftentimes when there's something that people don't want to do, like, let me tell you, pressure washing is not very glamorous. When you think of pressure washing, like, man, that guy he's got it going. It doesn't sound very glamorous, but it's a hard manual labor job, and you can do very well because not many people want to do it. So, and that crosses into all kind of different fields and professions. If you just look for the things that people are not wanting to do, you might find some gold. But
well, that's wise advice there. And I think the other thing is you get a sense of accomplishment. I mean, you must look at some houses like, man, that looks like a teardown, but let me power wash it. Oh, that thing looks great.
Kind of satisfying, know. And the faith helped me grow the business, absolutely. And we have over 300 5-star Google reviews, and people, without even mentioning faith, they'll say, man, we know he's working for the Lord. We see the work he's doing. It's different. People can sense it off you. If you're a believer, they can sense this kind of thing. And when you I want meaningful relationships with my customers. I don't want to just do their job and screw stuff up and get out of there and get paid. I want to keep you keep calling us. I want you to call me. I want to talk to you. You need somebody to talk to. Call me. I am here to help you and serve you. So.
the other thing is, too, when you're young like you are, starting at 17, I still can't get over that. A lot of us, you're young enough to try a bunch of things. Now, you lucked out. You found something you're very good at, and it's providing well for you. But I would encourage other young people, just go out and try things. And if it doesn't work out, you're so young. You're not committed to something.
Right.
And you can just find that thing and then pursue it, fearlessly and with courage. And just
Absolutely.
say, I'm going to give it my best shot. And if I do that, I will succeed.
Mitch, I told you before, when you have mistakes, of course they're learning lessons, and you have to take it as that, because if you take it personally and you just get distracted by all these mistakes. But I had one mistake. I'll tell you what, the first year I'd washed a house, some way or another, the paint on the house was a bluish color, and I washed it. Literally in 30 minutes, the whole house turned neon green. So I had to repaint a house the first year, and I was just stepping out. Then the next year, the motor blew up in my truck, $30,000 motor.
Yeah.
So I had to write the check, and it was just very stressful. But if I didn't have God in my corner, it would be even worse. And you just got to water off a duck's back. You just have to roll with it. If you have a business, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, it makes you stronger. All right. Well, want to thank you all. This is WMOQ. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. I'm Mitchell Swan, and we'll be right back with Lee Bradford.
Recently, I was on a flight writing on a legal pad, and the man next to me struck up a conversation. "Are you an author?" he asked. I said, "No, I'm actually a preacher." Well, the look on his face was priceless. How would you feel if you're stuck sitting next to a preacher for several hours? Surprisingly, though, we had a good conversation. He asked me several questions about Jesus, and I told him that the Bible says if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, Christianity is worthless. Ever thought about that? You see, the truthfulness of Christianity hinges on whether Jesus died and rose from the grave. There's great evidence for it, and I'm one of the billions of Christians around the globe who believes that the resurrection really happened. If Jesus did conquer death, then he's worthy of your trust. If he didn't, reject him because he's a fraud. I believe he really conquered death. What do you believe? This is Right, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available, or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Spring is right around the corner. New beginnings, fresh starts, and big moments. If you're thinking about proposing, if you're ready to take the next step, you go to P&A Jewelers. For 50 years, families have trusted P&A Jewelers to celebrate life's most important milestones. Proudly second-generation, family-owned and operated by brother and sister, we specialize in stunning engagement rings and custom designs made just for you. P&A Jewelers, located at 4665 Atlanta Highway next to Quick Trip in Loganville.
If you're selling or buying a home, you should call AM/PM Septic to inspect your septic tank. This could save you on costly repairs. AM/PM pumps your tank, fixes septic alarms, drain lines. They can fix any problem you're having with your septic tank. Call 770-231-7979. They do inspection letters. AM/PM is family owned and operated, licensed and insured company. Call David for all your septic needs. 770-231-7979.
This is Andrew. I'm the owner and servant of Sweetwater Soft Wash. As the owner, I run this business to expand the kingdom of Christ. We use agape love and servant-based leadership to bring you first-class service at a fair price. At Sweetwater Soft Wash, we offer roof, house, driveway, window cleaning, Christmas light installation, and more. Text or call me at 470-902-5854 or at sweetwatersoftwash.com to get a quote.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So glad you're with us this sunny Monday afternoon. Well, that was a great interview with young Andrew Clegg just a few minutes ago. And right now, we have got some local flavor. We have Lee Bradford. Lee, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all, Mitch?
All right. For those that don't know, Lee is our current commissioner for District 4 here in Walton County, and I know that you're the incumbent and you're coming into an election. But before I get there, I want to hear, how was your Easter?
So our Easter was great. We got up first thing yesterday morning. We went to the sunrise service, which was pretty awesome. Before we left, we put on some Boston butts to eat for the family and then give a few away in the community.
Oh, my goodness.
Wound up working out pretty good. You know, the one thing that, you know, our Lord and Savior, you know, did rise yesterday, or at least years ago, but he didn't stay dead and he won't stay gone.
100%. Yes. Well, how is your race going? Now, how long have you been the commissioner for District 4?
11 years.
11 years. How
11
old
years.
are you?
I'm 50 years old, just turned
okay.
50.
You were just a young buck. You were like 39. Like, I want to be a politician.
Like it started, well, it wasn't like quite I wanted to be a politician. It was more like, hey, I want to make sure that the people in this district, all their voices are heard. Because, like, when I first moved here years ago, like, if you weren't from a certain last name or a certain, you know, section of town, people were like, who are you? You're not from here.
Now, where were you born and raised?
Me, so actually in Conyers, Georgia. There, my dad practiced law over there. Then I built my first house in Newton County, started to work over there at the sheriff's office, and then when I met my wife, Christina, I asked for her hand in marriage. Her family asked me, hey, would you consider building a house on our family land over here? And they didn't tell me yes until I told them yes, and that was well over 20 years ago, and here we are.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you got into this thing. I'm telling you, man, you said, I didn't get in to be a politician. When you're planting signs everywhere, you're a politician. You know, when
I
you've
prefer
got
statesman. Let's go with statesman.
All right. Well, how do you think you've done the last 11 years? What have been some of the things that continue to get you reelected?
You know, I think it's one of the things that's all in the eye of the beholder. You know, it's not my district, it's our district. That means whoever lives in this district and whoever's part of this district, I mean, it's theirs. You know, it's about the people. It's not about me. It's not about that. It's about the people and making sure that their voice is heard when I cast votes on the commission. As long as it's legal, as long as it's ethical, my job is to cast the vote they request when certain issues come up.
Sure. I would have to think, too, back in 2015, I mean, we're going 5 years before COVID. I mean, this place has blown up. Development seems to really be on the agenda. And you would expect that, right? You want your community to grow. You want to have businesses grow. We want people to thrive and get nice schools and parks. What has really changed in your mind since 2015 to now?
You know, we've definitely, I think a lot more people have heard about Walton County and decided they want to come here, and you know that a few more people have decided they wanted to sell their land, because you know not everybody wants to continue to farm, though I prefer farming. I prefer seeing agriculture, and I prefer seeing larger lots over anything else. And you know there are things in place, you know, out here in this area, you know, it's predominantly 2-acre lots because it's an A1 zoning.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't keep somebody from requesting to make them smaller lots. It just don't mean we have to agree to it.
I understand. What's the mood of your voters in 4th District, the mood of just voters in general down in Social Circle these days?
They, you know, there's a lot of things. So when you talk about Social Circle, it's an incorporated city. So the county doesn't make a lot of the decisions for what goes on inside the incorporated city. You know, they've dealing with some infrastructure, you know, issues and so forth. They've taken out some bonds and trying to grow that, but those are questions more for Social Circle, not as much for me.
Yeah, and it might just be my perspective, but for a nanosecond, when I was running for Congress in 2020 and we started to get the Rivian plant in there,
sure,
I'm like, wow, we have protesters down in Social Circle. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were some heated people, and now we have the immigration facility. I'd like to remind people, they're like, we don't want those, you know, criminals down here. I'm like, all right, they broke the law, but this isn't a prison. They're people, they're women,
sure,
they're children, they're folks being, you know, sent back, repatriated to their home of record and not
sure,
here. So I don't know if that'll be a long-term event where they'll still be needed in 10 years. You know, it seems like we're just going to kind of deport some people and then maybe shut the building down. But maybe you have some insight on that. How's that going?
You know, it's one of the things when it comes to the federal government, they have that supremacy clause, and they sort of do what they want to do when they want to do it and where they want to do it.
So they don't even ask the town, the incorporated town, like, yeah, this is happening. Live
when
with
all
it.
that stuff happened, like me and all the other elected officials were just as surprised as anybody else. Like, that's sort of how we found out. Like, oh my God, there was this, and it was actually off of a Facebook post that somebody screenshot and sent to me. I was like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to that, then you start, conversations with, some of your federal elected officials, like Mike Collins and some others, and then you sort of start to learn a little bit about it. And you're like, huh? Like, so it's just one of the things you wish you could do something about. You definitely support the mission. You just may not always support the business decision that they made of where to put it and how to go about it.
Yeah. What are some other areas in the 4th District that are concerning? I brought up Social Circle because it just seems they're always in the news. But
sure.
What are some other concerns in the district?
Well, I think some of the concerns, just what people consider overgrowth, and a lot of times I feel the same thing as well. It's like I like the 2-acre lots. I'd prefer to have bigger lots if I could, but what we have in place is 2-acre lots for more of the rural areas, which is great, but it doesn't keep developers from other places to try to come in and buy some land a little bit cheaper and then dice it up on smaller lots and come together, which is, I'm not always a proponent for that. But
well, I agree with the 2-acre lots, and bigger is better. I just think that those lots become more precious over time and keep their value.
They definitely do.
But I know when I moved here, and I'm like, honey, we're moving to Good Hope, Georgia, and we got the keys April 1st, 2021, and I'm like, man, this is really nice. And now, in that time, I think they have built no less than 75 homes. It's already changed just in my short little time.
The growth is amazingly.
Yeah. Are you in the 4th District, Chastity?
I'm in the 3rd District.
The 3rd District. But you think about moving to the 4th every day, don't you?
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm just teasing with you.
It is.
Well, Walton County is beautiful. I like Good Hope, too.
Yeah.
Good Hope is beautiful. But the growth is everywhere. So it's
They'll
coming.
even let you have a radio station in Good Hope, which is just baffling.
I used to cut up about it when I first got out here and so forth, and I said, I nicknamed it Graceland out here, and they're like, Graceland, why? I said, because if Elvis were to come back today, this is where he'd want to be.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree. Well, and, Lee did bring us some Dunkin', some donuts, so he did bring us a sweet treat, so thank you for that.
Well, now that Lent is over, I can probably eat
Yeah.
more than I should of that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was kindness or temptation.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Well, Lee, we're coming down. We got about a minute left. I'm going to turn it over to you. Are there things that are important to you that you'd like to share with the voters out there? And I take that back. We got about 3 minutes, but I want to make sure I'm not running over your time.
There are definitely. I'd like to sort of reach out there that we've got some really good candidates running at the state level. There, one of them being Marc McMain. He is running for the 46th Senate District. He's got a pancake breakfast coming up on April the 29th, Everdo Shucks.
Dunkin'
in Logan.
Donuts and pancake breakfast.
Who doesn't like pancakes?
Exactly.
I hear you.
I like
Yum.
pancakes.
We
Just
love food.
Be easy on the syrup. You'll be fine. So I think Mark would be a great candidate. You've got Brett Malden running for the State House 114. I think he's a great candidate, and he'll do us a great job. And then you got Brett Dunn running for the 42nd Senate District.
Yeah, I like
Which,
Brett.
he's a Marine, as well.
He was a JAG officer, too. He was a smart
was.
Marine. He could actually go into a courtroom. So
super great guy there. But what I mentioned is by putting a lot of these folks together and sending them to the state, they have the opportunity to all work together for us here in Walton County.
Yeah.
To try to help, better our community, which is great.
Well, if they're supportive of development or smart development stuff, that'll be helpful. I find some people say that. Then they get up there, and next thing you know, I got a landfill on the way,
Right. I do have one question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lee, what do you want voters in District 4 to know about your work this term and your goals moving forward?
So the main thing that I think all voters need to understand is that people that are in government, I'm an employee of the district, like I work for them. So my job is to represent what they want done and try my best to push forward the agendas of the district, not so much the special interest, but definitely of the district. I'm one of the ones that I've never taken campaign contributions, but like I said, I work for the district. I don't work for special interest when it comes to that. So, and the main thing is for all of us to work together and try to hold the line. Good Hope does a really good job in the city of Good Hope because you must maintain a minimum 2-acre lot to build inside of the city limits of Good Hope, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I can speak to that on another time as we did our own business here in town. So, closing out, few seconds left. Lee, where can people go to learn more about your campaign and stay up to date on what you're doing?
Please give me a call at 770-652-2656, or they can email me at Bradford, the numerical 4, Walton at gmail.com. That's Bradford4Walton at gmail.com. But I prefer folks to just give me a call.
All right.
And I'll be glad to come out and meet with them.
It's great.
Well, I hope your phone rings. All right. You'll be busy all day answering phone calls.
And thank you for our treat.
Y'all are welcome. Thank y'all.
Well, thank you, Lee, for coming in. And stay with us because we've got 2 guests coming up that I think you're really going to enjoy their stories. And again, you're listening to the Marc McMain Show on WMOQ.
Serving Watkinsville and the surrounding area since 2002, it's Outdoor Specialty, featuring a wide variety of plants, trees, shrubs, ground cover, and more. Plus, you'll find a full line of irrigation supplies like sprinkler heads, pipe replacement parts, and more. Add some beauty to your home with a huge selection of pottery, landscape stones, mulch, and more. Step into the garden center and see their great selection of bird feeders, bird houses, Cole's bird seed, and so much more. Don't forget to pick up some of Elsie's apple-flavored deer corn. Stop in and say hello to Elsie, Diane, and the rest of the friendly staff at Outdoor Specialty, 1460 Greensboro Highway in Watkinsville. Open Monday through Saturday. Phone 706-769-8737. That's 706-769-8737. That's OutdoorSpecialtyNursery.com.
Are you considering selling your house or land, or perhaps finding your dream home? Call Stacy McCullers, your trusted real estate expert with 12 years of experience and a lifelong connection to Walton County. Stacy is here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're buying or selling, she's available anytime to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. Don't wait. Call today, 678-859-6336. A member of Malcolm & Malcolm Realty Professionals, Stacy McCullers, your realtor for life.
Franklin's Gun Shop in Athens has everything you need for hunting and fishing. They have great prices on their guns, ammo, scopes, bows, gun safes, knives, blinds, tree stands, and rod and reels, clothing, and more. I do all of my shopping at Franklin's, and they're open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 9 to 9 and Sunday noon to 6. At Franklin's, you'll get great customer service from people who know what they're talking about. Family owned since 1961, located at 3941 Atlanta Highway in Athens.
This is Andrew. I'm the owner and servant of Sweetwater Soft Wash. As the owner, I run this business to expand the kingdom of Christ. We use agape love and servant-based leadership to bring you first-class service at a fair price. At Sweetwater Soft Wash, we offer roof, house, driveway, window cleaning, Christmas light installation, and more. Text or call me at 470-902-5854 or at sweetwatersoftwash.com to get a quote.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Again, I'm Mitchell Swan sitting in for Marc McMain. This is the Marc McMain Show, and I've got 2 guests joining me right now that I think you're going to enjoy their stories. One is Paul Koistra, and we're going to talk with him for the next 15 minutes about what he's doing in his business. And then we have Carrie Rivers, who is doing a lot of very important ministry work over in Athens. Gentlemen, welcome. So nice to have you in here.
Thank you, Colonel. Good
You
to see
guys
you again.
look great. It's too bad we're not on television.
So, Terry has his shades. He's got just in case it gets too bright in here.
We both have faces for radio.
Now, for those that don't know, Paul has a independent Christian family business, and years ago he decided he was going to leave the corporate kind of world, and he wanted to make craft soda. And everyone, when I share that, they're like, "Is that a beer?" No, it's not a craft beer. It's craft root beer, but it's just craft soda. And as I understand it, you came up with this idea of making stuff that is wholly sourced from Georgia, a lot of local produce and things like that. And I'm just going to pass it over to you, Paul. How did you come up with starting your own soda company in Watkinsville, Georgia?
Well, thanks for having me on, Colonel. It's good to see you again. And I'll get to what we decided on in just a minute, but maybe just to give you a little background. My wife and I live in Watkinsville. We've been there for about 14 or 15 years. We have 3 amazing daughters, beautiful young daughters who love the Lord, and they are mostly grown now, but they still help in the business. Our oldest daughter is a labor and delivery nurse in town in Athens. We've got one that's graduating from Georgia this year and one that's graduating next year. But they're amazing. We're very proud of them. They love the Lord. But I started business, my career with a small company in St. Louis in 1998 when my wife and I moved there after we got married, and it was a good company to work for. We were a fast-moving company. We became a publicly held company, and in 2007 that changed because we had a company that was much bigger than ours come by and purchase us.
They do that, yeah.
And over the next 10 years, it became a lot more bureaucratic, a lot of red tape, and it just became an environment that wasn't enjoyable.
You didn't like the work anymore.
Nope,
Yeah,
didn't like it.
environment
It wasn't
changed.
Yeah. And so some of us old-timers decided to do something different. And and at the same time, our family were going through some difficult times, and so we sat down as a family and decided, let's do something together. And that was kind of my idea. I had always had an entrepreneurial spirit, so I kind of forced my entrepreneurial spirit on my wife and my daughters, but they were so supportive then, and they are still so supportive today. My wife just, in fact, texted me just a sweet message just a little bit ago, and it was really,
wonderful.
really loving. But we thought some guys at church had gotten me into the brewing world, and I thought that was fascinating, and I loved the craft beer flavors and so forth. But we thought there's too many craft beers in Georgia.
That's right.
We really didn't want to raise our 3 young teenage daughters in a brewing industry anyway.
You want the 21 and under bracket. Yeah.
So we thought, well, what about soda? There aren't many craft soda companies in the country. There's certainly not many in Georgia, and we found out there weren't any. And so in a background story, when I was a kid, we would drive from Mississippi to Duluth, Minnesota, where my parents grew up.
Yep.
Every Christmas for 2 weeks, we'd spend up there. Always a white Christmas. Cousins, uncles, aunts, all my relatives were up there. So it was a really good memory for me. But one of the best memories was when we would pull up to my grandfather's house. He would have a root cellar full of soda from a place called the Pop Shop. And the Pop Shop was really retro sodas in a cool bottle with flavors, really fun flavors, none of which were healthy because they were red cream soda, blue cream soda.
Yeah.
But that was kind of led to us kind of thinking through craft soda. So we threw some flavors together, went to the farmers market in Watkinsville, started selling our syrups there, blending them with our soda stream, just to see if we can prove the concept. People seemed to like it, so we thought, let's make one and bottle it and see if we can go sell it. And we did that with our strawberry habanero soda, which you mentioned local produce, and that was from, those strawberries were from Washington Farms. And we also grew our own habanero peppers at the time. And we went and sold our first bottle to Heirloom Cafe, which was a great restaurant in Athens that is no longer there, but a great restaurant for many years. And I remember coming home and telling my wife, hey, I sold our first case of soda. And
yeah,
she
that
said,
won't
great.
even cover the electric bill, but
That
that's
covers
great,
it.
honey. I'm
Barely.
glad.
It probably didn't.
Probably
But
didn't.
She said, great. Now, let's really get excited when they buy again and when their customers buy again. So she kind of leveled me out and
But the courage it would take, you leave a job, now you've moved back to Watkinsville or moved to Watkinsville?
We had been in Watkinsville at the time.
Okay, so you're back in Watkinsville, and I'm sitting here going, wow, you've left a job, maybe you didn't like it so much, and I love the courage, you step out in faith. You gave it the name New Creation. Why'd you go with New Creation?
My wife and I really began to understand what it means to be a new creation in Christ, where our old selves are gone, our broken selves are gone, and even though we still mess up, Christ has changed all that. And 2 Corinthians 5:17, which is underneath our logo, 2C517, represents that. That's the verse, you're a new creation in Christ. And we thought, well, that's what we need to be in our lives, but what about this soda thing we're doing? We're kind of jumping in to help change an industry that was broken, that was old, that was boring, that had needed new flavors, needed new ingredients, and so we've
And they're all
thought, let's just apply
natural,
that to
right?
what we're doing in the business.
You use real granulated sugar. And-
Pure cane sugar, all
Yeah.
natural ingredients, real fruit when we can, not all from Georgia all the time, but
you just try to source here first, yeah.
we do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, the time it must have taken, I mean, you don't just whip together a flavor. Let's throw in some peppers with those strawberries. Tell us about your other flavors and which ones are the best-selling, and how much time did it take for you to settle in on the final recipe?
Well, the root beer flavor took us 2 years to really get right, but some of them are faster, some of them are quicker than others, and they don't take so long. Our newest flavor is a key lime pie soda made with the real key lime juice and our proprietary caramelized sugar base. It tastes, I mean, there's only 4 ingredients in it. It tastes just like key lime pie. It's really amazing.
Oh, that's great.
But some take longer than others, but we've got 7 soda flavors. We've got a couple of margarita mixes. We make the banana cream soda for the Savannah Banana baseball team. We've got the best root beer you could ever have, the strawberry habanero. We've got a dry hop ginger ale that's made with real ginger, which most ginger ales don't have any ginger in them, so it's really healthy for you. But those are.
And you've got a banana soda too. That's one of my favorites, in the pecan.
Butter
flavor.
pecan cream soda. That's right, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, so now where can people find your products if they're out? Like I've just heard about this new creation soda. I want to go get me a case of key lime soda. Where can they find your products?
Yeah, a lot of places around Athens. We're closest probably to John's Market and Monroe. We've got Stripling's and Bogart. If you're in Athens, Kroger on the east side, Kroger north side, Fresh Market, and there are a lot of Golden Pantries have them. They've got the new key lime. So a lot of independents, and then if you're around the country, we ship anywhere in the country. We've got 1,000 locations that we ship to.
Do
all the
you
DoorDashers
really?
nationwide have our stuff. So,
oh my goodness! Now, when I first
or you
met
can come by our shop, and we'd love to meet you, and you can buy straight from us.
Are you open for retail sales over
Sure.
there?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, just to be sure that we're there. But yeah, people can come by and see us all the time. They get a tour of the place. It's not a very long tour, but they like to see what we're doing.
Well, I remember you when the tanks were really small. I'm not sure what a small tank is. It feels like it might have been 150 gallons. What are you up to now?
They're 25-barrel tanks, so that's 750 gallons each.
Oh, my goodness. And you've grown quite a bit. Where can they find your retail shop besides Watkinsville? What's the address?
Bishop, Georgia. 2250 Old Bishop Road. It's in the city limit of Watkinsville.
Okay, 2250 Old Bishop Road.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that wonderful story. And if people wanted to find you on the internet, do you have a website?
NewCreationSoda.com.
There you go. That makes a great gift. They need to go there and start shipping it to their families.
And the key lime pie, trust me, it may be our best flavor yet. It's phenomenal.
When did you know you were going to make it?
My wife and I visited Anna Maria Island for the first time last year in February, and we saw these parrots. They're called monk parakeets, and they were on the roof, and 2 of them were playing together. We thought, where did they come from? Who lost their parrots? These green and dark green and light green parrots. And come to find out, they are wild on Anna Maria Island and some other places in Georgia. So I thought, okay, the colors of that thing, key lime is a big flavor in Georgia. That's the next flavor we're making. We're making key lime soda.
Yeah. Well, I was asking, when did you know that your business would make it? Were there times when you were really fearful and didn't have the courage to keep going on, or?
Oh, every day.
You're still waiting for that moment, right?
It's exciting and fearful every day. Just depends on what time of day.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to be an entrepreneur and step out there?
Oh, gosh, a lot of things. But I'd say when you start, the first thing is if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, congratulations. There aren't many people that have that. And second, if you're single, go for it. If you're married, talk to your spouse and figure out your personalities, because that's going to change how you launch and how you run your business, and that's super important.
That's wonderful. Well, Kerry, you saw this business grow up. What did you take away from watching him the last few years? I mean, we were having Bible study over there for a minute. We were just covering that place in prayer, like, God, lift this place up.
Well, Polly's done a great job. I mean, it's probably the greatest. It's probably some of the best soda I've ever had, and New Creation Soda is very much involved with our ministry. We use his soda at our annual banquet at our golf tournament, and it's just a big hit. And you might want to tell them, Polly, the building that you're in. You gave them the address, but the building is historic where you are.
It is. It was a turkey hatchery. In fact, it supplied most of the turkeys to farms in the southeast from the 1950s to the 1990s. They would hatch turkeys there, shipped out about 5 million a year.
Wow. So you got to repurpose an old historic land site. You know, 100 years from now, they'll be like, hey, this is where New Creation started. It'll be like its own Coke museum when you become real big, man.
I don't know, Colonel.
All right. Well, I love that story. And when we come back, you're going to stay with us, and then we're going to talk with Kerry a little bit about what he's been doing after his corporate life with Downtown Ministries. Once again, you're listening to the Marc McMain Show on WMOQ.
$10,000 off MSRP on select 2026 Ford Explorer STs and Trimmers. It's just one of the deals through March 31st at Akins Ford in Winder. Hi, this is Brad Akins, and these Explorers also come with Ford's 10-year limited factory warranty and no additional charge. Plate number 40030, MSRP $60,795. Deed retains factory rebate plus government fees with approved financing through Ford Credit and your 1995 or newer trade. Ford's limited warranty is 10 years or 100,000 miles. See dealer for details. Visit us today at akinsford.com.
You ever roll out of bed and feel like you lost a fight with a tractor? If your back's barking, your neck's complaining, and your knees pop louder than a box of cereal, it might be time for the Joint Chiropractic. There are no appointments, no insurance mess, and no sitting around all day. You just walk in, get adjusted, and head back out feeling human again. Now serving Covington and Monroe, whether you've been hauling, hunting, working, or just sleeping funny, the Joint Chiropractic keeps you moving smooth and feeling right. The Joint Chiropractic, because snap, crackle, and pop belong in your cereal and not your spine.
If you're selling or buying a home, you should call AMPM Septic to inspect your septic tank. This could save you on costly repairs. AMPM pumps your tank, fixes septic alarms, drain lines. They can fix any problem you're having with your septic tank. Call 770-231-7979. They do inspection letters. AMPM is family owned and operated, licensed and insured company. Call David for all your septic needs. 770-231-7979.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
All right, welcome back, my friends. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. I'm Mitchell Swan, sitting in for Mark, and we're returning now. We've got another guest, Kerry Rivers. And Kerry, you've got a wonderful story I'd like you to share with everyone. You're a man of faith, but you used to actually be in the corporate world. And I want you to talk a little bit about Club Car, a company you helped start. You're doing very well. But at some point, you're just like, this isn't where God wants me. And you replanted yourself, and you're now very involved with Downtown Ministries, specifically Downtown Academy in Athens. So can you just give us a little bit of your background, what it was like at Club Car, and then why you made that transition in life to go over and help children find Christ?
Yeah, well, Mitch, I appreciate you having us on, both Paul and I, and it's an honor to be able to share the mic with old Paul. He's quite a success story. So you know, when I got out of high school, I always wanted to be a golf professional, so I went to Florida State. I played golf at Florida State, got out. I was a golf pro for about 7 years, got involved with a bunch of guys in the golf business, and we bought a company called Club Car over in Augusta, which is currently probably the largest golf car manufacturer in the world, all different kinds of vehicles. And I joined them in 1978. I'm going to kind of show my age here. And stayed with them for about 23 years. My last 10 years, I was the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing worldwide. I think when I retired, I had like 3 million frequent flyer miles. So I was all over the place, and it was a great company, great product. And we sold the company about 2003, and we sold it to Ingersoll Rand. I stayed on for a little while, did a little bit of consulting work with them. My wife and I adopted 4 boys from Latvia over in the Baltic region. Had 2 sons of our own. Stayed home for a year and kind of helped them get going until they went off to school. My wife.
I just want to pause for 1 second there. Here you are. You've had a 23-year career. You've sold a company. You hung on for a little bit. You're like, honey, we've got it made. We already have 2 kids. Hey, let's pick up our game and adopt 4 other children and bring them into the house. Like, that's going to make things more calm and retired, huh?
Yeah, it's like starting parenting all over again. But our 2 older boys, both of them were in college, but they were very active with us, very, very supportive. And
did you get all 4 at once?
We did. Well, actually, we got 3 at once, and then we went back and got the 4th.
Wow.
So 6 sons. 2 of my boys are now with the Lord. One of them was killed in a boating accident in 2007, and the other one died about a year and a half ago from a liver issue. But I've still got 4 great sons, all walking with the Lord, and so we decided to move to Athens. I had one of my boys, which is involved in the University of Georgia. He teaches and is over at the Georgia Museum of Art, and his wife is also a professor at Georgia. We have 3 grandkids here. I have 3 grandkids in Greenville. We decided to move to Athens. I was going to kick back, relax, and retire. I was retired 2 days, and Downtown Ministries was starting a school. Downtown Ministries actually started in 2003. It was an inner city sports ministry. We had about 250 kids involved with football, basketball. And then in 2013, about 10 years later, the board said, listen, we're doing a great job with athletics, but that's not everything. We need to start a school. So they started Downtown Academy in 2013, and that's when they asked me to come on because they had to raise some money.
Now, when we talk about the academy, and starting really in 2013, I guess, are we talking about an after-school program for kids that are going to public schools, or is this straight-up enrollment? Like, this is where mom's dropping me off in the morning.
This is a fully accredited private Christian school. We have 7 grades, K4 through 5th grade. We have about 75 students. Most of the classes are full, small classrooms, 12 to a class, teaching very strong on Bible and spiritual emphasis, reading, math, and other things. We have all kinds of extracurricular things that the kids do. So our kids are averaging a year and a half or so above the Clark County standards on reading and math. So we're making good impact. And so these are great kids. They're all from what I would call less fortunate families. Probably the average household income is probably $21,000 a year.
Wow.
So we have a robust scholarship program and grant program that we do, and that's kind of my bailiwick. I raise all the money for the ministries.
So it sounds to me that when you're at a $25,000, $21,000 income, you're really just beholden to the public school for the education of your children. So when you come along and now you're an option, what's the competition like? How many families are trying to get in every year if you only have 75 students?
Yeah, we have a wait list, and it's not based on the income because all of our families pay a certain amount. It's not a 100% scholarship. All the families pay something, just like they do with the sports and everything else. We have a vibrant after-school program from about 3:30 to 5:30. But the key is when these kids are coming to us, they're very far behind, and so we have to be a little bit selective in the kids that we take because we can't take a child that's 2 years behind in reading. It's just
slows everyone else down in the classroom.
Yeah, slows everything down. So we're not cherry picking our students, but we're very selective, and we do have some extracurricular tutoring and stuff like that we do with kids. We have a great program at the University of Georgia. We probably have every year over 100 students at UGA that come and volunteer and do things. We have what we call an emerging leader program, which is our internship program that we partner real strong with the University of Georgia. We usually have about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 interns every semester, different schools at Georgia, school nonprofit, school social, and whatnot. They do a lot of volunteer work as well as they work, and we pay them. and the university pays for them to come at internship.
I'm just trying to do some quick math. Never do math on the radio, but you got 75 students, and you've been there since 2013. You've got to be approaching 900 graduates.
Not quite that many, but we have a great program to where we have where we follow kids after kids matriculate away from our school. It's just fifth grade if they go to another Christian middle school, we'll help them with funds to pay for that.
Does it help going to downtown ministries when they apply maybe for another Christian school, say like a Prince Avenue or something like that? Or
most of our kids that graduate go on to Athens Christian, and a few have gone
great
to
school too, yeah.
Athens Academy, and then some to Prince.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's great. Any success stories that you want to share? Some of these young kids whose lives you've kind of turned around?
We got a lot of success stories. We got some failures too. You know, we had one of our boys that went through our program, was at Clark Central and was killed last year in a drive-by shooting. Those things happen. We have kids that matriculate away from us. They stay in the faith. They stay strong. But probably 80% of our kids are being raised by a single family.
Yeah.
Or a grandma.
Well, that speaks to the need for an organization like yours just to help balance out pull some of the weight that single parent has to do to raise a child properly.
Yeah, we probably need about 5 or 6 downtown academies in Clark County.
My goodness. Well, it sounds incredible. How long do you think you're going to remain there?
Well, as long as they want me. I mean,
Well, the need's going to be there for some
budget's
time.
Our budget's about $1.6 million a year. We also have Our Daily Bread, which is a huge community kitchen. We feed about 40,000 meals a year, and it's staffed by churches, civic groups, all different kinds of folks that come and serve and provide meals for our guests. And the universities are really involved with that too. But,
well, I firmly believe as we look at this country, education as a whole is kind of crashing in on itself. The more we spend, it seems we get a worse output. I don't know why that is. Yeah. What I am impressed by, and I did do a little research, when I look at your reading scores, your academy kids are reading well above, not just like Athens, Clark County, but above state levels for that age group.
Yeah.
So you've got some really good teachers over there really pouring into these kids.
Yeah, we got good curriculum, and we've got great teachers, a lot of ladies that have retired and want to come back into business, and great young Christian women and men that are helping our kids.
Well, that's the really great ages to pour in. We had a guest on, Andrew Clegg, just shortly ago, and he graduated from Social Circle, and he didn't want to go to college, and he's crushing it. And not everyone needs to go there. I think when people send their kids to a private school, there's the expectation like college is also part of that decision process, and they're going to end up going. Yeah. But you guys are really giving these kids some grounded truth to to prepare them better for 6th grade and above in their life. And that's when it's mostly important. So if there's listeners out there and they're like, wow, I had no idea that we're helping some needy kids over there and pouring in with some Christian education to the those that really need it, how can they help you? You got a banquet they can buy tickets for? You got a website they can visit?
Yeah, our website's pretty simple. It's just downtownministries.org. And our mission is that we partner with our community to develop the next generation of godly leaders. That's our mission. And we have an annual banquet every year, which is in October. And then we have our golf tournament coming up here on May the 18th at Jennings Mill. But you can go to our website and you can get the whole story about Downtown Ministries, the school, the ministry, the community kitchen, the after-school program, in our Emerging Leader Program, all the things that we have been doing in Athens since 2003.
Well, that's wonderful. And you said you have a golf tournament May 18th coming up?
That's correct.
If I do that, will you be my partner?
No.
I didn't know you were a professional coach.
No, I'll be working that day.
Well, you'd be working if you're golfing with me. I promise you. You'd be like, Mitch, that's all wrong. All right. Well, I want to thank you both so much for coming in on this Monday. It's a pleasure hearing your stories and what you're doing for the Lord as we move on past Holy Week and Easter, and I wish you both the very, very best.
Thanks, Colonel.
Thanks for having us, Colonel.
All right. Well, once again, this has been the Marc McMain Show. We appreciate you tuning in today, and we'll be back tomorrow with another. Who's the guy hosting tomorrow?
Mr. Bob Furr tomorrow.
Mr.
Bob Furr with the Madison Trolley.
That
It's
is
always fun
wonderful.
when Mr. Bob's in the studio. So tune in.
All right. Thank you.